I'm your host, Sharon Rolph, and you are listening to Fresh Courage. It's your time to shine, coming to you on the Transformation Talk Radio Network. And I'm here to help you live wholeheartedly, to enjoy everything and live boldly. I've often challenged you to explore possibilities. And my topic today is exactly something I found from me exploring the possibilities. And so I want to talk to you about resilience. And I'm kind of looking at doing a TED Talk. So I was um, checking out a couple things of people who have been doing TED Talks and found this gal that is using gaming to um, help people build resilience. What a novel idea. I have not gone to gaming because, us boomers, we think it's a waste of time. So, so I opened my mind to possibilities and was amazed at this gal. So I want to talk about resilience today, and I'm actually invited somebody to have a conversation with me. Rick Thompson is an engineer, businessman, and inventor based here in the Seattle area. And he's actually a CEO in the cement and steel industry and is recognized as a leading authority on post tensioning procedures working with big tech clients such as Microsoft and Google. And he's had his own experience about resilience, but his practical approach to business, life, and science is what makes his new book, The Quantum Mindset in a Nutshell, What They Won't Teach You at School, that could change your life. It's very special, very digestible for the average reader. So welcome, Rick. Thanks for being with me today on Fresh Courage.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Cool. So why don't we start out with Rick? Why do you think this topic is relevant or important to us in life? Resilience.
Well, I think resilience is very important because we're going to have challenges, and those challenges need to be overcome. And that resilience, it's like the saying, don't let one tree destroy the whole forest. We need to learn to get back up and do it again and again. You can't lose if you never quit. There's many ways to develop your resilience, and gamification has been one of those opportunities that we see coming out more and more in life.
Where have you seen gaming applied to anything that you've been doing in life?
Well, when we set up games, we kind of set them up in different levels so that you can achieve a level, and then you get rewarded for that level, and you go to the next level and the next level. I see that. I see in certain sales routines that we deal with, people will get rewarded for playing a game or coming back or getting so far in it. And I kind of just read a book that I really like, Barking Up the Wrong Tree. And in it, a man falls into a crevice, and he makes survival into a game in a way. He says, if I get to this hill, then, I win, and the next place, and I win. And he tries to do it in a certain amount of time. And so he made a game out of actually him surviving, which got him through the adversity of falling and saved his life.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your resilience that you had to work through?
Yeah. I have had my challenges. I have definitely been up and down the scale. I actually lost my wife 10 years ago, and that was, I would think, one of the most devastating events ever in my life.
Mm-hmm.
For a while there, I kind of gave up, I have to admit. But I found the resilience came from putting the proper meaning to the things in life. And my wife and I loved each other very much. And I choose to remember how much she loved me and how much she taught me about life and loving. And I go forward with that to spread love to the world in her memory and honor.
Yeah. Good. Because you can't do anything about the past. We can only change the future. And so you
And
use,
that's right. And, I kind of believe life does happen for you. You have a purpose here, and those things happen to you so you can have resilience and do the things necessary to make the changes in the world and in your life that need to be done. So everything has two coins. I like to look at the positive side of that coin to go
yeah,
forward.
yeah,
And so, I'll be honest, at that time, I, kind of gave up and lost everything. And I came back and put good meaning to it. And I have a beautiful life today.
good, good for you. Um, I, in doing research for the topic, I found a little comic thing that said Tigger, the tiger, was saying life is not about how fast you run or how high you climb, but how well you bounce. So life requires us to have the resilience of being able to come back and get up, like you say, get on back on your feet. Well, Jane McGonigal is the author of Super Better, and she's got a PhD in gaming, and she actually wants to use gaming to increase our resilience. Who knew that was possible? So she actually had her own resilience challenge in having a really bad concussion. It was life, well, I don't know that it was life threatening to her, but it sure put her on her back for a while. And she decided to, while she's in bed and kind of getting depressed, like we can sometimes fall into, that she decided that she'd use her cognitive abilities that she did have and create some games to have help build that resistance and pat yourself on the back and gain different levels of achievement. So I loved stories that are true to life, movies that are true to life. So if we talk about the definition of resilience, they say the dictionary says it's an ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. And part of what makes this topic a little bit close to home for me is that when I was leaving Seattle for Tampa, Florida for a job, one of my best friends complimented me on she never knew anybody that had stronger resilience than I did. And I, what are you talking about? And so I've never heard anybody else compliment somebody on resilience either. But in uh, Dr. Emmons says anxiety disorders are far and away the most common mental illnesses in America, affecting nearly 1 in 5 in any given year. My goodness, that's a lot. And I'm starting to be sensitive to being aware of how, as we age, we tend to be easier to get depressed and think that our value or our contribution is slipping away. And Rick and I don't believe that's the way to go. So, but I also came across a comment somebody wrote, this Sherry Campbell. She says we must be willing to risk. Part of resilience is the emotionally wealthy life that requires digging deep and to view the challenge as a catalyst. The challenge of having your wife die, the challenge of having this concussion that actually inspires our personal development. So we have to say, Rick, kind of at the beginning here, that you don't have resilience if you quickly get knocked over and stay down,
That's
right?
true.
Yeah. So picking yourself up is kind of important.
You want to have a good life. If you don't pick yourself up and start again, what will your life be? You have two
Yeah.
choices. You can not do anything, or you can choose to do something. And like I say, we don't have control of too much in life, but what we think about and focus on, we do. And that's what makes the total difference is what are you going to focus on or think about now?
And that's what you bring out in your book too, right?
Right. It's like, it's amazing how much power we have on creating our own destiny by what we focus on and think about. And, we think, woe is me, we tends to get woe is me. But when we think positive things and good stuff, you fall into more positive things. And the quantum mind book kind of tells how quantum physics and that relates in how it works to how our mind works to how we can achieve the things in life we want, like getting back up and doing things again.
Yeah, I am so disgusted. Well, one of my sayings that I have is a worry is a misuse of imagination. And so much of the news is here, worry about the weather, here, worry about the election, here, worry about who knows what. And it just resilience, I think this resilience especially applies to what's going on in social media and the news. Do you see an application there, Rick?
Well, I think news brings out hard stuff because that's what people are looking for, the things that kind of scare them in life. And so they're attracted to it naturally through instinct. But I do think that, you know, we're having kind of a revolution on a more positive attitude, and the world's becoming a better place, and we have more of a higher, mental state than we've had in the past. And I think people actually watch news less than they have before. And I think actually a lot of that stuff people are turning away from, because we do have the choice. Do we have to listen to this stuff? And nothing against news. I love to hear about what's going on in the world, but I've only been involved in it 3 or 4 times. And every time I was involved in it, it wasn't really what quite happened. So they do kind of embellish or tell the stories different, I feel.
Yeah, so it may not be the real truth.
Right.
Or the
It's the truth that excites people.
Well, I get excited about living with the sunshine over my shoulder, the positive. So actually, another research that I came said the resilient people carry an attitude of faith that all things will work out in their favor because they deeply believe in the value and worth of who they are. They flourish through traumas, stressors, and challenges. So, isn't that kind of how we personally grow, Rick?
Yeah, I agree. That's what we talk about is how do we, first of all, you need to love yourself. So many people hold grudges against themselves and they need to forgive themselves. That's one of the big things. We see that in many tests in science. Like we're just with Mind Valley, they have near here actually, they have the 40 years of Zen and they hook you up to these electrodes and see how you can get this perfect mind wave of a monk. And to do that, they found the number one thing you have to do is forgive. You have to forgive
Wow.
everybody, but the one that you got to forgive the most is yourself. You've got to forgive yourself for all the things you've done. And with this hooked up, they can see like it lights up the whole brain when they're testing. When you really forgive, you just get all this extra energy and power because you were wasting it on, something that that like they say you don't forgive for them, you forgive for you, so you don't have to waste that energy.
Well, in fact, how I met Rick yesterday was we were doing an exercise like forgiveness. And I mostly thought about how I need to forgive myself, not so much of um, kind of maybe forgive myself for not learning more, not being as high, holding myself to as high a level as I'd like to. And then this morning it's kind of dawned on me that forgive myself for not being at the level I need to in order to accomplish the new things I want to do. So it's not having arrived yet, but I'm on the way. So another thing that's just really come into my awareness the last month or two is this whole judging, because often our judgment of others is wrong, or we don't have the whole story. And judging myself is what a release that is to saying, I'm doing the best I can. Have you been in that judging mode at all, Rick?
Yes, I have definitely been in judging myself. You know, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. You know, sometimes you're too old or you're too young. But I think because of my experience, I've gotten past that. I think I used to think, well, you take something and then you take it from somebody else. But I've come up with a story I love. It's called The Golden Box. And in it, it's about a man who goes to heaven, and with him is a giant golden box. And in that box, well, at first of all, it has his name on it, and they leave and they come back. And he says, well, what's in my box? And they said, well, we normally don't tell people, but because it's your box and it has your name on it, we're going to tell you. And he opens it up. And in it is all the gifts that God wanted to give him that he didn't think he deserved or could accept. God gives you every gift. You just have to open your heart and
Yeah.
accept it all. It's only us who judge ourselves as not worthy, no one else. It's all there for all of us. And we'll just open our hearts and accept those gifts as they come to us. So,
Well, and healing is so, I mean, love is so healing. And I've often tried to imagine what would it be like to love myself the way God loves me. And it's pretty hard to fathom, but um, it it gives you such a warm, accepting kind of feeling that's amazing.
well, I would like to say that I came up with something. It's like when somebody asks me how much I love you, there is no measurement because measurement takes away from my love. It's infinite. It's like God's love. Do I love as much as God? You can't measure it. I love infinitely you and everybody, and so there, everybody is loved as much as I possibly can. And there we go. We're not. I don't love anybody more or less.
Mhm, mhm. So, another metaphor, this changes it a little bit, the topic, but you're in the construction and concrete business. And a metaphor that I came across that kind of relates to your business, Rick, is iron is soft, malleable, and bends without breaking, which is resilience helps us bend without breaking. So, do you know that iron is soft?
Yeah, iron is. That's why we use steel and concrete together because the concrete is very hard and strong, but the steel is very flexible and allows for movement. So like a post-tensioning building, that's what makes it really good, is it can sway in the wind and move around and be flexible, but the force in it will pull it back together so it stands strong and sturdy when it's done. And that's what makes a good building, is a building that can handle movement and still come back to its original shape. Without the flexibility and the pliability of steel, that wouldn't be possible. But the strength of steel, the concrete, allows us to hold these forces all together like blocks and have a solid building.
Kind of amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Kind
it's,
Okay.
when I think about that stuff, all the stuff in the world to me is amazing. Every little thing you talk about this, it's the world is full of these
Amazing.
wonderful things. You know, I feel so blessed in the world to see all this stuff and be involved in so much of it. We're really
Well,
given so much more than we ever have realized. And if you just open your eyes, there's miracles around us everywhere.
that's that quantum mindset.
I would like to think so. Like I said, the reason I wrote the book is because my life has been blessed, and this thinking and this way of seeing the world has helped me. And I would love to see other people be blessed with this kind of gift and thinking so they can have a great life. Because, like
Yeah.
I said, I think everybody deserves that great life. They just need to kind of accept it and understand how the world looks around. Because most of us are like, nah, I don't deserve that. I'm not worthy of that. That isn't possible. It's all possible, and you're worthy of it if you can believe and act towards it, because you do have to act. You do have to put energy towards what you want. But if you do those two things, you can accomplish pretty much anything with time and action.
So I have tried to challenge myself when I say or hear somebody else say it's impossible. I like to say to turn it into question for our mind and I guess specifically our subconscious maybe that what would it take to be possible? So
Right.
now I'm asking the I see it's impossible now, but how could it be possible? It's a
What would make it
very
possible?
yeah, very curious question.
And it's not impossible. It's just very difficult now because we don't understand enough. But in the future, it could be more possible because we do things like that in my business. We have new inventions and they're possible, but they're very, very expensive. But you can almost plot the curve when they will be affordable to do the project you want. And you watch that curve come closer. So when that new technology comes down in price enough that you can jump right on it and use it in your service. And now it is a possibility that wasn't a possibility yesterday.
Yeah, I read the book Creativity 101, I think it was by the guy that built Pixar. And
Oh,
he
yeah.
told a invention after invention after invention that made his Pixar and Disney what it is today. It wasn't there, like you said, and now look, somebody's developed a solution to this. So I remember years ago they were saying, "Oh yeah, there's going to be this crisis of gasoline or something," and it was something about trucks and highway and how expensive it would be to get things to you, and it never happened. Somebody invented something that made it possible. So, what makes us resilient also enriches our lives. And being able to embrace the challenges or the trauma or whatever happens, like Jane McGonigal that embraced her concussion, she didn't let it stop her. In fact, there's two words that I love, unstoppable. I've read a book with that title, or unsinkable, that helps us get past what we think is a limitation and opens us up to the possibilities. So, um, other comments that you have? Oh, I was going to say that the building that you mentioned, I often think of flexibility as a willow tree.
At the where?
A willow tree that bends and sways in the
Oh,
wind.
yes.
Yeah, and
A
how,
post-tensioning building is kind of like a willow tree. That's why they're used
yeah,
because they'll bend and sway. Because if you have earthquake, you want it to be able to flex and absorb all that or the wind. And so they work like that. Many things
yeah.
move a lot more than we realize.
So, what about this believing in your value and the worth of who you are? Deeply believe that. Um, that's hard to instill in others. It's kind of something we need to do for ourselves more, right, Rick? What do you think?
I believe that all our beliefs have to be distilled within ourselves. That's really what gives you that good mindset is we have a set of rules. And that rule needs to be that I love myself. You can't say I don't love myself, I can't love myself all day. You got to tell yourself that you love yourself and you got to believe it. And and if you don't love yourself, well then why wouldn't you love yourself? What do you need to do to make yourself love yourself? Forgive yourself, whatever it is. But the first thing you have to do is really have that positive mindset in yourself that allows you to be worthy of life. So, and that goes for all the rules. Like if your rule says I got to please everybody all the time, well, it's hard to be happy because nobody can please everybody all the time. So these rules that we have embedded in our subconscious really make a difference to how we live our lives. And a lot of them we have from childhood that we don't even know about that,
Yeah.
give us that resilience or not because we were taught. The good thing is we can kind of identify them and reprogram our subconscious. It's kind of like a football player. Football throws a football every day until when he gets up there, he throws that football and he doesn't even think about it. He just does it. And that's what you want your mind to do for you when you're having a challenge is it doesn't have to think about it. I love myself naturally. I don't have to think about it. I just do this. I just do that. That's what my subconscious believes. because your subconscious mind is 40,000 times faster than your conscious mind. So really, the truth is, it's made all the decisions before you even have a chance to think about it. It's like it's at the finish line, sitting down at the chair, having a soda, waiting for you to get there. So, these are important things that we need to, but they're little things and we have control over them. And if we guide them, we can make our lives great.
Well, and you think about how many times do kids, as they're growing up, get told no, 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 and so while you're talking, it made me think, okay, when I was a kid, one of the values the family gave me was, where there's a will, there's a way, which isn't kind of another way of saying, if you want to believe it, you'll find a way to make your belief right or accurate.
Right.
It's like I was the only one that went to college in my family. So where there's a will, there's a way. I did it by taking baby steps, one class at a time if I had to. But hey, if I decided, well, in fact, another block that I just made here recently for Christmas is you decide what stops you. Well, I didn't decide. I decided that tuition costs didn't have to stop me. Um, I saved up enough for getting started, taking a baby step, and little by little, I eventually went on to get a master's degree. So, um, what? Well, and the other thing is, I've been noticing as people are walking on the sidewalk, how whether they're hunched over and looking down all the time, or whether they're kind of strutting and I've been asking myself, what makes a difference in how they walk? Who who taught them who they are, basically, or how were they taught that? So if you believe in yourself, you're more likely to stand up tall and and feel the value or worth in your walk and your stride. You think?
Oh, yeah. I actually have had the fortune to go to several of Tony Robbins' classes.
Oh, okay.
And that's one of the things he says, how you stand is how you present yourself. And just by standing like Superman, you'll feel stronger and better and whatever. So, and so what we're really saying is when you look at somebody, you see what they're thinking about themselves inside by the way they stand. So if somebody stands tall and strong, they feel tall and strong about themselves. If somebody hides and puts their head down, they're shying away from the world. So, those are small things, but those are things that people see unconsciously all the time and make judgments on. Most people
Yeah.
judge people in what, like 30 seconds?
Or less.
Yeah. Women are faster than men. So I know you guys are a little bit, you guys got the insight we don't have, but
Okay, so we're talking about resilience, the ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune and change. And I think that's so important in this day and age. So we're going to take a break and when we come back. We're going to wrap up our conversation with Rick Thompson about resilience and bouncing back. Stay tuned. listening to Fresh Courage. It's your time to shine. And I'm Sharon Rolph with my guest today, Rick Thompson. And we're having a conversation around resilience. And it's so important to not get caught up in all the things that, the culture wants us to worry about. If it's not the politics, it's the weather, and on and on and on it goes. So let's talk, Rick, about what could we do to help strengthen our resilience. And I've got this handout from and I don't know if the producer has that or not, but down here at the bottom, a recap of super better is that there's ways to do power-ups. That's things to say, okay, I don't think I have quite enough strength to go to the next level. What could help make me stronger? So she says that there's physical, social, emotional, and mental. So, Rick, you mentioned something about a cup of hot water. What was that about?
Yeah, a cup of hot water. If you just have a cup of hot water in the morning or at lunch before lunch, it gives your body energy because of its warmth without any calories. So your body doesn't have to do any energy to get energy. It's one of the things, it's like a gift to your body. Here's a cup of hot water, take the energy, use it, but you don't have to digest or do anything to make it happen. And it just enhances your body's activities, prepares it for other things without having to give it a job to do.
I love it. Okay, so emotional, they're saying like holding the hand of somebody that you love would be emotional power up. Um, how do you apply that to your life, Rick?
Yeah, I tell you, not too many things make me happier than holding my wife's hand. When we drive in the truck, I like to grab her hand and just hold it and tell her I love her. I just, it makes me feel emotionally better. I like it. I do it all the
Cool,
time.
cool. All right. Let's see. Sending a text message, and I have been trying this since Christmas, is sending relatives text messages more often than I have. I'm not a big texter, but I've been sending out things like, "What are you grateful for today?" And I had a powerful exchange with my nephew here recently about that. Listening to a song. Okay, well, I actually whistle when I go out for my walk. I like to whistle at the crows and the squirrels. So that's kind of something that I don't know that I'd call it a power up, but it makes me smile. So it's all good, right?
I think if it gives you energy, it's a power up. You can
Yeah.
feel things in your body. And when you feel them, you got to listen. If they make you feel good, there's a reason. If they make you feel bad, there's a reason.
So a social pick me or power up, I think could even be something like giving people compliments.
I
You
think
know,
that is a very common one. Or the other one that you do is mimic what they do. They don't even notice it. And that powers up people because you're like them.
well, and the one that you mentioned earlier that is so strong. Well, there's two things that are super strong about making things better for the good is the forgiveness and gratitude.
I think those are important things. I know
Because the
with me
Great.
forgiving things in my life, it makes my life better. I don't like to carry grudges no matter what they are. And, things go bad. I don't blame anybody. I haven't lived their life. I don't know where they're at. They made their choices because whatever pain and suffering they had in their life. And I don't always agree with it, but I don't hate anybody or hold a grudge against them because they did something I didn't agree with.
Yeah.
Makes life
Yeah.
way easier for me. I tell you, I don't like being upset with anybody.
Well, and I have kind of this theory that a lot of medicine could go out the window if we forgave people more often.
They say that's the number one cause of stress is not forgiving and all that. So, and like they're saying, stress is the number one epidemic. Anything we can do to reduce our stress levels, meditation, forgiving, gratefulness, those things are definitely proven on all levels of science by testing and stuff that they work. And if they work, then let's use them. We can prove these work. Let's make our life great. we can do it.
Take the pill. Take the pill of forgiveness. Take the pill of gratitude instead.
Or
All right.
absorb. I like to see there's, because I'm kind of against pills. Let's just absorb the energy of forgiveness and all that and use those waves that are out
Yeah.
there free that don't harm our bodies at all. And actually, don't make anybody unbelievably profitable for what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello. Okay, well, Rick, let's wrap up here in the next couple minutes. Tell us about how you came to write the book you did and where people can buy it.
Well, guess I've said a little bit. I came to write the book because my wife passed away, and I was looking for meaning in life. And I started doing different things and researching and reading and studying, and that led me to realizing that I can actually, do things in my life to create my future. And I took a lot of classes. I've actually spent much money learning this stuff, and when I got there, it made my life so great, and it makes me so happy that I wanted to share it. And so it took me about the last 4 years, but I wanted to write this book so I could share with others. I feel I'm older in my life, and I would love young people
Yeah.
that are much younger than me, like 20, and to take advantage of this knowledge and use it to make their lives great. Because really, that's the goal in life: is there's rich with money and there's rich with a great life, and it's out there for both of us. But if you don't have that health and that great life of happiness, what good does all the other stuff do?
Hmm.
So, and this kind of tells you how you can manifest all that stuff into your life and why science and stuff supports what we're doing today. And so it's supposed to be kind of a stepping stone to belief. You believe, and then you make it come true.
Yeah. Getting back to that term I just ran across, the emotionally wealthy are resilient, and it adds to their wealth that they feel in their life. So they can get your book, The Quantum Mindset in a Nutshell. You said on Amazon?
Yeah, just look it up on the internet and it'll kick you right into Amazon, and it's there for sale. And I'd appreciate anybody who does pick it up and read it to send a little note and let me know what they think. I'm very
Yeah.
interested in how people receive it. And like you say, and helping others have a great life too.
Well, on Fresh Courage, it's your time to shine. I carry that on my website, Effortless Vitality. I believe that when you're living from your heart, it's going to flow from you with effortless vitality, kind of like that hot water that goes down and it gives you energy. My little art blocks that I make there, some of them are available on Etsy and my store called my store called Quilted Petunia. And I actually have a YouTube channel and I do a weekly blog where I give people a thought for the week and challenge them on living better. And, let's live life as if everything is rigged in our favor.
Because it is.
Yeah. So if I believe it, it's possible. And let's see. Your website is thequantummindset.com,
Correct.
right? Okay. And how would you wrap up today's conversation?
Well, I hope that people learn to have more resilience, because that is one of the keys to really having a happy life. Because if we
Yeah.
let things hold us back and not go forward, then, you know, it's going to hold back from having that great life. And with resilience, I believe if you don't give up, you can't lose, and keep going, 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 and you're going to get what you want out of life, that joy and happiness that everyone deserves.
So, and I hope you take from this talk today that you can choose to do some power ups physically, emotionally, socially, mentally. And like I say, I'm getting better. I'm going to try to be more encouraging through my text messages, send more of them more often, and it shows that I'm caring about my loved ones, and I'm kind of knocking on the door saying I'm sending you love. And I actually bless people a couple times a day as my way of loving them too. So let's change anything that's impossible to possible and live a meaningful and bold life wholeheartedly. Thanks for listening to Transformation Talk Radio, and we'll see. Come back and see us again next week. Thanks.
And thank you. I've enjoyed myself. Thank you very much.
Good.